This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Indian edible oil refiners are curtailing palm oil imports for May and June as most states have imposed curbs on hotels and restaurants to arrest rising coronavirus infections, denting institutional demand, industry officials said. Lower imports by India, the world's biggest buyer of the edible oil, could limit a rally in benchmark Malaysian palm oil futures, which hit their highest level since 2008 on Thursday. Palm oil demand from hotels, restaurants and other institutional buyers has been falling rapidly due to lockdowns, said Govind Bhai Patel, chief of trading firm GG Patel and Nikhil Research Co.
China, indefinitely, suspended on Thursday all activity under a China-Australia Strategic Economic Dialogue, its state economic planner said, the latest setback for strained relations between the two countries. Recently, some Australian Commonwealth government officials launched a series of measures to disrupt the normal exchanges and cooperation between China and Australia out of Cold War mindset and ideological discrimination, China's National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, said in a short statement on the decision. The commission did not say in the statement what specific measures prompted the action.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Natural gas suppliers, pipeline companies and banks that trade commodities have emerged as the biggest market winners from February's U.S. winter blast that roiled gas and power markets, according to more than 24 interviews and quarterly earnings reports. The deep freeze caught Texas's utilities off guard, killed more than 100 people and left 4.5 million without power. Demand for heat pushed wholesale power costs to 400 times the usual amount and propelled natural gas prices to record highs, forcing utilities and consumers to pay exorbitant bills. After the storm, few companies wanted to talk about their financial gains, unwilling to be seen as profiting off others' hardships.
Norwegian oil companies have come to a wage agreement with employees, 3 labor unions and an industry association said on Wednesday, preventing the potential outbreak of a strike among workers later this year. Norway is Western Europe's largest oil and gas producer, pumping about 2.1 million barrels of oil liquids per day, BPD, while gas production amounts to around 2 million barrels of oil equivalent per day, BOD. The Norwegian Oil and Gas Association, NOG, which negotiated on behalf of energy companies, said each worker's annual wage will increase by 20,100 Norwegian crowns.
Next, we have the top news in metal market.
Aluminium prices approached levels not achieved since 2018, closing in on $2,500 a ton on Thursday as rising tensions between top producer China and major raw materials supplier Australia added momentum to the rally. Prices have rocketed 25% this year as commodities and equities markets surged and investors anticipate that a crackdown on polluting smelters in China will constrain supply. Adding impetus was China saying it would, indefinitely, suspend all activity under a China-Australia Strategic Economic Dialogue, deepening a crisis in relations.
Gold rose for a second straight session on Thursday after the dollar retreated, as investors awaited U.S. economic data to gauge the Federal Reserve's strategy on monetary support going forward. Spot gold gained 0.5% at $1,794.80 per ounce by 12:27 GMT. U.S. gold futures rose 0.7% to $1,795.90. Market is pricing in a more distant probability of a Fed rate hike after clarifications on Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's remarks, said quantitative commodity research analyst Peter Fertig. Yellen said on Tuesday she saw no inflation problem brewing, downplaying earlier comments that rate increases may be needed to stop the economy overheating. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. World food prices increased for a 11th consecutive month in April, hitting their highest level since May 2014, with sugar leading a rise in all the main indices, the United Nations Food Agency said on Thursday. The Food and Agriculture Organization's Food Price Index, which measures monthly changes for a basket of cereals, oilseeds, dairy products, meat and sugar, averaged 120.9 points last month versus a revised 118.9 in March. The March figure was previously given as 118.5. The Rome-based FAO also said in a statement that new forecasts pointed to growth in both world wheat and maize output in the coming season.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.